Hi, my name is Ken Roberts. I live on Vancouver Island in British Columbia, Canada. This is my e-bike. It's a Surface604 Twist, which is a foldable e-bike with 20-inch tires and 4-inch wide, so fat-tired bike. I like this bike, and one of the reasons I'm making this video is that there were very few review videos on YouTube, and I kind of felt that this bike deserved it. I fully believe that there's a great e-bike for absolutely everyone, and I'm going to go through some of the reasons why I selected this bike. It may not be the perfect bike for you, but some of my reasoning may help you make a decision. The first thing is I'm 75 years old, so I wanted a bike that wasn't terribly heavy because I'd like to lift it into the car and take it different places on day trips or overnight trips when we go to beaches, which is one of the reasons for the fat tires. And a lot of the foldable e-bikes, I wanted a bike that was able to fit into the car with the dog, with luggage, with everything else. So foldable was something that was pretty important to me. And I wanted a bike that didn't weigh too much. And a lot of the e-bikes, for example, the Rad Mini 4, weigh around 65 to 68 pounds, even close to 70, very close to 70. This particular bike is 50 pounds with the battery in, 42 pounds with the battery out. Now, there are some compromises that you make. It doesn't, for example, have a front suspension. Instead, it's a full fork at the front. But that wasn't terribly important to me because I'm mostly driving on roads or on trails that don't really require the full suspension. And one of the options that I got at the very end was I managed to get a suspension seat post, which sort of took care of a lot of the types of issues. So folding and weight were very important to me. The other thing about where I live is that it's extremely hilly. There's a mountain behind me, and there are a lot of trails that I like to ride, but I'm going up and downhill all of the time. So I wanted a bike that had power. This one has the 500-watt engine power unit that's inside of it. It also has a good battery, and the batteries are all interchangeable with all of the Surface604 bikes. And I wanted a bike as well that had the torque sensor for pedaling. And you probably know there are two types of sensors that are out there, or commonly out there, the cadence sensor and the torque sensor. I rode bikes that had the cadence sensor, and one of the things about the cadence sensor is that it sort of realizes that you're pedaling and that you need support for that, but it doesn't adjust the amount of support depending on how hard you're actually pedaling. And in mountainous situations where I'm changing gears a lot and changing the power support that I'm actually asking for, it felt like when I was riding a cadence bike that in my particular situation, I was constantly looking for that point where the amount of power I'm asking the bike to provide and the amount of power I'm providing and being in the right gear was just always difficult to find. With a torque sensor, it meant that I could find that point rapidly, and it became a more efficient bike for me. The other thing, because I do live in a place with lots of hills, and I'll show you some of them at the very end, is I wanted a bike that had the hydraulic brakes instead of the mechanical disc brakes, just to make sure that I was totally safe. So this bike had all of those features, all of those things that I was actually looking for, and I find it to be absolutely fantastic. It folds well, it's extremely stable. And the other thing that I really wanted to make sure is that, boy, did I look at a traditional bike frame so that I would be sort of sleek and over the bike. But because I'm 75 years old and because e-bikes are a little bit heavier, I wanted a bike that I could step through, because I found with some of the other bikes that lifting my leg and putting it back over again, or coming to a stop when you might want to go across the street, was difficult with a traditionally shaped bike. And so I wanted to step through so that I could get on and off the bike, not only now at 75, but into the future as well. And I also wanted to be able to sit straight up on the bike so that I didn't have that bending in the back, don't have particular back issues, but don't want them either. So those are all my reasons for selecting the Surface604 Twist. The final reason that I actually gave is that e-bikes are much more complicated mechanically than your normal bike. And I felt that because I had the various components of it, that the bike was going to require more maintenance. A lot of bike shops won't look after a bike if they didn't sell it or it's not a brand that they actually know. And there is a Surface604 dealer that's close to me, and so I can take the bike there and actually have it repaired. When I was young, I used to love the cowboy westerns with the heroes. One of my goals in life was always to ride across the screen with all of that cowboy hero music playing in the background. So I'm going to conclude this review by riding in some of our gorgeous settings and show you the e-bike and what it looks like when it's on the road. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.